G'day and welcome to another episode of the SuperCoach Paige Show. I'm Paige.
I'm Matt.
I'm David.
And we are back ahead of round 8. How are we, guys?
Yeah, not too bad. I had a pretty good, decent week, given that we had a 0 copped in the this week.
Well,
Josh
good to know
Saunders.
Yeah, exactly. Josh Saunders. Well, I had a big donut, and you had a donut.
Yep.
And what have you got to say for yourself?
Boy, oh boy, I had a terrible week. I scored 2-1-5-5.
Mark that one off.
And although the only win that I had was telling you guys that Saunders wasn't going to play, and I did the sneaky and traded him out to Boston, and he scored with 102 or something.
102, yeah, but
Yep.
wasn't good enough, unfortunately. So let's bring up the tally. There's a big one there.
I won this week.
I had a virtual 0 though. You two guys haven't got Heartland.
I don't even care. I still got the highest score out of both of you.
Whose
and I
fault
have
is
been,
that?
I've
You
been the
have-
whipping girl the whole last couple of weeks.
That's true. Undefeated still.
It's
Is
good to be in the winner's corner for once.
I got 2202, by the way, so pretty decent score.
I got 2268.
Yeah, very good. And how about you, Damon?
2-1-5-5.
Yeah, so it was pretty close. I mean, there wasn't that much in it, but
But we had a donut.
we
so-
did, yeah. So
Virtual donut.
yeah,
Heartland,
just delete
thanks
your
for that.
team.
Thanks for that.
That was pretty good. But there were a lot of really good scorers this week.
There were
for
some
the
fantastic
second coming
scorers.
of these players. I mean, start off with Paddy Dangerfield, your
Oh,
boy.
look, I am just, and I mean, everyone at home that's been watching the show since the start, and I have been ropeable with Paddy D, and Dangerfield has returned the faith in spades. And last week he had a big score of, what was it, 100 and...
147.
Well, that was this week,
Oh,
147.
170 something, I think,
173 last week, 147 this week. He is on fire.
Barrel boy.
Barrel
Like to
boy
call him.
Dangerfield.
Barrel boy?
Barrel-chested big boy.
From
yeah.
the, what footy factory is he from?
Oh, Geelong Falcons.
Geelong Falcons footy
Yeah, down
factory.
at the footy factory down there.
Look, he had a fantastic week, and look, it was against the Giants. So, but he's now bumped up to just a touch under 600,000. So back at that premium status that he was, and obviously with an average now of 111 and a break even of 21.
111.
111.
Very
That's
good.
terrible.
Break even at 21 though, so very good. He's gonna.
121.
If you're going to bring him in right now, then it's the perfect time.
I think that just goes to show that you've got to have faith in your premium. So
Yeah.
if I've been able to keep the faith with someone as frustrating as Dangerfield, you can do the same with yours.
Yeah. Speaking of which, Sam Dwyer, something that people have been really. They were quick to trade him out. Me being one of them.
I kept him.
Yeah. Well,
Huh.
well, he's got a break even of -2. His average is 69, and with a big score of 99 against Fremantle, who I would have thought was a team that would be very hard to score against. But
He had
he's
a couple of goals and some crucial points in the game, and was a really focal point for the Pies, even though they were getting smashed.
yeah, exactly.
Big
And
part of the
I mean,
game.
Freo's a pretty difficult team to play against, and he's got a mixed draw coming up of Geelong, Sydney, but then a few easier games against Brisbane, Melbourne, and the Dogs. But
Yep.
you'd think that he would have peaked in price by then. So it's
He's,
really
and with the news of Tim Broomhead coming back onto the senior list today, which means Dwyer comes off, but at the same time the Pies have upgraded. They've upgraded him again because Alan Tooby's gone onto a long-term injury list, which means that Dwyer's spot on the side is guaranteed now.
Yeah,
He's safe.
they were pretty quick in doing that, bring him straight
Yeah,
back
they
onto the
were.
list, and it shows you, how highly they regard him
Well,
down at.
given we're 2 months into the season now, he's still second at the Pies for score assists and third for score involvement. So, again, we say it every week, avenue to goal. So his job security is fantastic, and now that he's -2, he'll go up in price again for another couple of weeks.
And the other guy is the boy from Kerry Baptist Grammar, Viney. He's doing all right. If you kept him,
Are we
you're doing
running
well.
that one
You're
off?
doing
Yeah,
well.
we have.
We're down. We're playing BT Bingo
Yep.
for those at home.
Marking a few off there. He scored 104 on the weekend against Gold Coast. He's now got a price of 216,600. He's averaging 66, and he's got a break even of -33. So he's got some tough opposition coming up. He's got Richmond, Freo, Hawthorn, and the Pies.
Yeah.
But you'd think that he should go up for the next 2-3 weeks at least. And he's still good cover, as I say, so keep him.
I reckon he's too. And I mean, Andrew Walker, we'll touch on him lastly here. Hasn't he become an absolute premium?
He might
really
even be,
has.
in the All-Australian team at the moment.
I would probably have him there at the moment. But
Kicked the goal of the year so far, I believe. It's very good run
fantastic.
off
But,
half back there.
I mean, really looking from a Supercoach perspective, I'm just going to throw some numbers out here. 137, 70, 137 again, 109, 124, 141 and 80. So his lowest score for the season so far has been a 70, which was against Collingwood. And the Blues were well sort of held down that day. But it just goes to show his scoring power is just ridiculously
Mammoth.
big. If you take out the scores of 80 and 70, you're looking at an average of 113.
Wow.
So,
amazing.
which is fantastic for a premium forward. Most premium forwards.
And he's got a
averaging
good
around
draw coming
105.
up as well, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Again, we speak about Carlton because they've got such a good draw coming up. And although they probably should have pipped St Kilda on the weekend, they've still got a very healthy draw.
Should have is the right word.
Only one team won on the weekend, guys. Come on, get serious. Moving on to another player who's got a lot of people worried this year, Lance Franklin.
He's going to be on everyone's radar, I think.
He is the biggest talking point of the week. Now, he has dropped in price by another 49k, despite a solid score of 86 against the Swannies. Still faces a price drop though this week of $20,000.
At the very least, as well.
And that's at the least. So if he really does have if he gets subbed or something like that, and he has a sub-lax game, he can be in the vicinity of around 50k again. So you'd be looking towards the bottom end of 400,000.
Yeah.
But the question is, do you trade him in now? The fact that he's facing GWS on the weekend, or do you wait and hold off a bit until he drops in price again?
Personally, I'm a little bit worried that. And Clarko came out today and said that, it wasn't Clarko, it was Shane Crawford who came out and said that wouldn't be surprised if a few stars of the Hawthorn variety were rested.
Please not Sam Mitchell.
And, and that would probably go for the likes of Sam Mitchell, Luke Hodge, Lance Franklin, Grant Birchall, who have been warriors so far this year.
Even Sean Burgoyne, who's been very good this year.
He's really bobbed up. And Jared Ruffhead is another one to sort of throw into that mix there too. So. On that point, I'm a little bit worried that I'm going to bring him into my side. He'll play this week, but he might get dropped either side of the bye, and that would probably be against Melbourne.
But do we get scared a bit that if we choose not to trade him in and hold off for a week, how many goals do you think he'll kick? Considering Tom Lynch on the weekend,
if he kicked 10,
always rated Tom Lynch, by the way.
Yeah, he's a decent player.
I think so too. But if Lynch can kick 10 and he did it seemingly easily. Then Buddy Franklin is going to absolutely open up GWS. He will poleaxe them.
Yeah.
And that's something that you've got to take into consideration is that with Hawthorn playing GWS, how much attention do you then pay to his break even? It is still high, but when you take into consideration the 3 games he's got coming up, does a break even make or break a situation for you to bring in a player?
It does normally, but this is maybe the exception.
We aren't talking about Buddy.
Yeah, and the thing that really worries me and is making me not do it is that I already have so many forward premiums in my side. And at the start of the year, forward rookies were really the shortage. You couldn't find many. So a lot of people like myself loaded up on 4 or 5 premiums at the start of the year. I think I had 5 and Carnesis as a mid-price.
And you've got players now like Lacroix and Kennedy who have bobbed up and made a bit of cash as well, and they're still scoring pretty solidly.
And Monfries as well, who was quite cheap to get there.
Well, you've got Monfries. Would he be someone that you put in the gun to trade for? I think he's been pretty solid, but a lot of people are starting to question whether the quality between the two. Monfries as a keeper, as opposed to upgrading him to Buddy for basically a few $1,000.
I'd give him a couple more weeks, or at least one more week. And maybe Buddy is rested and then I can get him in next week or something like that. But Port Adelaide have really, slowed down.
They have.
Look at the hit list behind us.
I know, it's the entire
You've got a lot of bad players. Jake Need had a crap game. Stevenson had a crap game. Hartlett had a crap game. Westhoff has been crap. You didn't listen if you brought him in.
We didn't listen.
So yeah, I mean, I think mids and defenders should be on your priority this week. Not Lance Franklin. That's just my opinion.
See, I really like him, but at the same time, I mean, us three, none of us started with Buddy.
Yep.
I would probably go out on a limb here and say that we've all been pretty fine without Lance Franklin.
Yep.
And given the erratic scores, and we'll throw some more out, 62, 116, 117, 116 again. 57, 45, 86. Remember last year, he only scored over 100 10 times in the season. If you take out that score of 226 against North Melbourne last year, he only averaged 87 in 2012. So that is something to take into consideration.
Which is what he's at right now. He's at 85 at the moment, so he's in that same
par,
vicinity. But if you were going to bring him in, luckily that 86, which is a decent score, was the latest game. So his break-even should be more favourable.
We've got a pretty good little stat on him later, which we'll get to. But when we talk about now, we're having a...
Oh my God!
What have we got?
Fire
Sale.
Now,
Thank
Dale
you.
Thomas to start with. Tell us about your boy Daisy.
Look, there's a bit of conjecture over Dale Thomas today. He trained, so today being today's Wednesday, isn't it? It's Wednesday. So the Pies trained today, and the cameras were all down there because it was an open training session, and they were quickly thrown out, and Purty and Eddie were quick to shoo everyone away. Dale Thomas has suffered an unfortunate ankle injury, that same injury that he suffered during the pre-season. Now, there are conflicting reports that he's going in for scans tomorrow. Out of the club, a PR is telling us that he's already had scans, and those scans seem to have cleared him of any damage, and it was just probably a bit of overcautious
Precautionary,
from the Collingwood there, but he's still in doubt this week.
Because Luke Ball's going in for scans as well, so it might just be a thing that they do.
It could be. Look, this Fox Footy have got a bit of they're a bit notorious for winding a few things up that aren't as big as, it's a bit of a storm in a teacup, essentially. Something to take into consideration, but I am worried that he's not going to front up against Geelong. It's already probably going to be a plus 45 scoreline. But Dale Thomas, look, with all that aside, his form has been fantastic the last fortnight. Scores of 150 and 102. He's playing that new roll-off halfback. He's fitted in really, really, really well. He's probably, if he does play this week, he's going to find himself under fire a little bit more with Heath Shaw out.
Yeah.
So
Should at least get an 80, I would think, if he played,
I would think so, but he's playing that, he's alternating off that halfback flank and onto a wing, so he's getting a lot of opportunity to get a lot of ball, which obviously in return is going to mean a lot of SuperCoach points. But he's projected to increase, $27,000. And again, we touched on Luke Ball. He will be returning. Now, we're understood that there'll be a few surprise selections coming in that are going to bolster the Collingwood side, which can only mean good things for Daisy because he is playing out of position in defence. If Collingwood can release him a bit more off half-back, then we could probably see him return to that 106 average.
The other guy is Matthew Prittis. He loves the hand candy. That's Prittis. Loves it. Scored 97 against Brisbane on the weekend. He's priced at 451,500, and he's averaging 91.4. So he's getting up there. He's dropped a total of 136k in value. So he presents pretty decent value, I think. I mean, I think he's more suited to SuperCoach than he is Dream Team.
Definitely.
With his contested possession and
handball happy
stuff, it kind of decreases value in Dream Team. But SuperCoach, definitely one to look out for, and definitely one I'm getting on this week as well.
Yeah, I mean, last year against North Melbourne, he scored 170 against them in SuperCoach, which is a big reason to get on him this week.
I'm a bit, I don't know about Prittis.
No?
I've probably said this all over Twitters on Prittis. I have said this over Twitter. I do not rate him as a top 8 midfielder come the business end of the year. I don't. I think he handballs too much and.
Could be the 8th.
I was going to say the 8th.
I don't know. When you take into consideration that you've still got Jack, Hanbury, Mitchell, those sorts of guys, remember, you've got to take into consideration with Prittis that out of all the considered premiums, he is the one who, on a kick-to-handball ratio, is +4 than any other premium midfielder. So I don't think he capitalises on the ball that he gets, to be honest.
The one thing for me that stood out, I think last year he averaged 114 or something. Was it 110, 114? I think it was 110 the previous season as well. So he's got the average there. He's got the stats to back it up. So I'm going to take the gamble on him.
Yeah. And a couple more players that, again, hopefully aren't rested. Grant Birchall and Luke Hodge, averaging 103 and 105 respectively. Birchall's been well held the past couple of weeks.
They've caught on to him now.
Not really caught on to him, but they've been playing reasonably difficult teams, I would say. I mean, they played the grand final replay was last week, so...
They're just saying, I think he seems to be getting a little bit more attention. I mean, he had some pretty big games where he was getting a lot of easy ball off halfback. So they've probably smartened onto the way he rolls their defence. Yeah.
But with the 3 games coming up, GWS, Gold Coast, Melbourne, I'm predicting 140 average for those 3 weeks.
You would not be wrong. Hawthorn are going to really start setting their season up now, and that brings us to basically Luke Hodge as well. And a 120 versus Sydney.
Opposite side of the coin. He's in scintillating form.
He is, and he's still under $500,000. So 491k, average of 105, and a break even of 39. He's only going up. But you said earlier, Damo, that the injuries.
Yes. They've cooled him over the years, and I think that's one thing to take into consideration if you're going to trade him in.
Mm-hmm.
It's not so much the form; he's an awesome player, and he's back in scintillating form, as you said, mate.
Yeah.
And that's what you got to factor in is the injuries.
Yeah, he's never played GWS before, but you know, most people tend to average very good against the expansion teams, and he averages 110 at Aurora Stadium down there in Tassie. So pretty favourable stats there for Hodgie.
And second part of the buyer sale, who to sell. Now, these players, obviously, that we've just mentioned previously, are all underpriced, undervalued, and have a lot more to present in the way of value. I'll maybe use that word. But looking at who to get rid of, Ollie Wines. Plano?
Ollie Wines. Is the human meatball.
Yes.
I was struggling for the nickname.
Have you got
Is the
bingo
human
yet?
Meatball, is it?
Have you got bingo?
Quite
No,
right.
not quite.
One of those.
Almost.
Okay, we've almost got bingo.
Now, I think it's the time to jump off him. He scored 61 on the weekend against Richmond. He's priced at 367 now, averaging 86.4. But his break-even's at 86, so it's higher than his average. So now that's danger signs for me. So I've got to factor that in.
And did he drop in price this weekend? He did. I'm pretty sure he did.
A tiny bit, yeah. So you've really got to look at what you can do with Wines. I mean, you can upgrade him to a Pritis, for example. I mean, that'd be a pretty...
Or if you've got Dwyer or Need or someone in the forward line, switch him in through your trade wizard, and for an extra 95k, you can upgrade a buddy.
So I think dual
options there.
possession will be heavily used this week, especially with Buddy and the possibilities there, especially if you've got a lot of forward premiums already.
Yep.
I'm actually trading him up to Sammy Mitchell. He's one of them. That's kind of gone under the radar. Not many people have been speaking about him that much, but
He's
I love Sammy Mitchell.
You've already got him.
Yeah. But yeah, I really hope they don't rest players this week because we need it. We've been cruel in the past few weeks with how many injuries and suspensions they've been.
We need a bit of luck.
They're coming back, thankfully.
Thank God.
Gibbs should be back.
Gibbs is going to be back.
Goods is back.
Goods is back. Pittard possibly.
Even Crouch. Maybe.
So, look, Jake Need, another Port boy, which is a bit of a theme going on here. 28 against Richmond, didn't even make his break even and dropped $3,000. So that just goes to show where Need's at. He has hit that inevitable rookie ball. I think we've made enough money out of him already, and he's still, a lot of people say I'm going to upgrade him to Buddy, but he's still 180k out from getting Buddy. So it's something to take into consideration there. Big fortnight coming up against Carlton and Geelong. So I think the Karma bus is about to hit Port Adelaide, and I'll probably be surprised if they win another 4 games the rest of the year.
Really? Ooh, big call.
I think they're about to just get a bit of a reality check, and that's no whack against them. I really have enjoyed watching them play.
Well, that was on the weekend, the Mighty Tigers getting the reality check.
But I think at the moment he's probably someone to downgrade to maybe a Ben Kennedy type that's on the bubble.
Yeah, he might not be getting the sub-vest as often, Ben Kennedy, and he looked very impressive.
And again, with the injuries as well, banking up at Collingwood, he's probably someone to keep an eye on.
Definitely. And another Port player, Lewis Stevenson. You could even go Campbell Heath as well as another player that's topped out in price and is plateauing. Average is well below his break-even, 65 average, break-even of 77. So now's the time to get him out. Options would be Pierce Handley. I'd wait a few weeks for Hamish Hartlett because his price is going to plummet.
Will Sirakowski
as well,
downgrade,
I don't mind him. I'm just worried about his job security.
I'm the same. Yeah.
And even Ryan Lester got subbed, but he was doing very well in the first 2 weeks.
Did he have a bit of a hand injury?
Yeah, it wasn't very good, but he was averaging 110, 115 before that. So a bit unfortunate. So another player that you could have got in a few weeks ago. I didn't listen to myself.
You didn't listen?
Brandon Ellis. I didn't listen. And he's gone and gunned it the past 2 weeks, and I'm so mad.
And he stayed away from that vest as well, which is good to see. But, but look, we are moving on to, what have we got now?
Tweet of the week.
It's the tweet of the week. The Mint Tours tweet of the week. So make sure that you on Twitter that you use the hashtag SCP Show when we ask you to send through your questions, and the top 3 will be answered by our lovely selves, and you will win a Mint Tours voucher.
Very good.
Kick us off.
Mine comes from Matt. Good name.
General.
He's basically asking about Fluston's job security, and he got 100 on the weekend. So he's asking how many rounds do you think he'll stay in for? I think with his tackling pressure and how much that's really been emphasised in the past few weeks at Richmond, he'd be a lock to stay in.
He's a bit of a catalyst, I think.
And We have Tuck being injured for 6 to 8 weeks. Knights is out
Yep.
for the season, so there's another 2 players. Foley comes back in. Cochin will probably be back in this week, but it won't push Floston out of the side, and I doubt he'll be the sub anymore. The only knock on him was in his endurance, so he might be subbed out, but I don't think he'll start as the sub. So he'll at least make you some more money. He's got a very favourable break.
Really good point there. So. Really good point. Now I've got one from Jared. I haven't got your last name, Jared, so Jared with a full stop. Buddy coming up against GWS, Gold Coast, Melbourne. Is it worth bringing in despite the 145 break even? I am bringing him in this week. So yes, I think it is worth it. Disregard the 145. He's only going to drop around 20k anyway. And still, even then, is $20,000 really worth the possible 100+ score he's going to give you? So when you talk about your overall ranking, when you're talking about, obviously, if you're really keen on your leagues and you've got good head-to-heads coming up, Buddy could possibly be the difference. So, I'd say that basically he's definitely worth it.
Yep.
And I'm going to similar tweet to you, Paige. They ask, Buddy has a break even of 145 against GWS. That could happen. However, with Pritis bottoming out this week, which trade is more important? Now, I'm in the exact same dilemma, actually. Now, I'm going to trade in Mitchell, that's for sure, but I'm deciding between Pritis and Buddy. Now, I think it depends on your structure. Now, are your mids or your forwards the weakest? That's sort of, I think, you can use to decide which player to get. Last year, so he's got a break in of 146, and last year he only topped 140 3 times, which was against Collingwood, Melbourne and North. So I think even though he can surpass that, he has the ability to against GWS. I don't think he's not going to rise in price all that much, even if he does.
Yep.
So
Big boy he is.
he's a big boy. He's a massive.
We almost got bingo.
Just yell for no reason.
The last time against GWS, he did kick 4 goals in Davis, but of course, remember he was subbed out in the third
He said
quarter.
the wrong player. Mark that down.
Oh, okay.
Bingo! We got BT bingo! Yeah!
Yeah, I can take off my tie now.
Yeah.
But as I said, yeah, it depends on your structure. Personally, it's a coin toss. If you want to save coin, go for Pritis, hold out and Buddy. Buddy's got 2 easy games coming up after this week, so it's up to you.
Yeah.
Coin toss. It's hard to say.
It's a lot of it's about faith this year,
Yeah.
and I'm playing it more like a stock market, especially with the increased trades. You're allowed to do that. I've only got 21 trades left, but I think that's still a fair amount to play with, especially
I'm down
since
to 20. Yep.
my team is approaching completion, which is very
That's
good.
good.
Going into junk time now, captain choice for this week. Be hard to go past Sam Mitchell if you've got him in your team against GWS, but lock Swan or Ablett if you've got them.
Yeah, kind of hard to go past Ablett after that performance last week, I think. But we've got a couple of. Who's?
I'm going to do it. I'm going to go Sam Mitchell.
You're gonna go. Yeah,
My boy.
I'll
Oh,
probably pay that.
Yeah.
Anyone for a loophole this week?
My captain choice, I'm going my boy, big boy, the Chrome Dome Magician Gaza. How's that? You tick them all off now. He scored 150, 121 and 141 in his past 3 against the Dogs. So,
And I'm gonna throw out with Koch back and Lids and Dusty. I think all 3 are going to go absolutely bananas. And
Against Melbourne, so I'd be sad if they didn't.
Honestly, I think that
except
Koch
Richmond's
might
going to
just-
lose. So.
Oh, is it be fair to say the danger game?
No.
Danger game.
No. It's
But
the
I
only...
really like.
yeah.
I'm really liking one of the 3 big Richmond boys. So,
Yeah.
But we've got our tips coming up on the screen now, so you can have a look at those. And I think it's unanimous across the board that about Collingwood Geelong this week.
Yeah.
We're going to get smashed.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
But I'll see you next week, boys. That's
Yeah.
all right. But
Speaking of tips, just our general SuperCoach tips for the week. Mine would be Hamish Hartlett. You've got to take the good with the bad with him because a lot of people are saying, oh, he's got 40 or 50 the past 2 weeks, let's trade him out. You brought him in for a reason. It's the same situation with Dangerfield and probably...
stick by your premiums.
Yeah, it's probably Heath Shaw of the past, few years.
Yeah.
It's had that same sort of scenario. So, he's got one of the highest standard deviations in scoring in the comp. So, you've got to take the good with the bad. If you picked him, keep him, and if not, if you don't have him, he'll be cheap as chips in a couple of weeks.
What have you got for us, Samo?
Last time the Hawks played GWS, they had 13 of their 22 players score over 100 points.
Ooh,
That's
if you've got a few
massive.
Hawks boys this week, you might...
Yeah, it's it. Well, I was going to say Birchall. Now, we spoke about him earlier. He's one to keep. Don't jump off him. Last time he got 30 disposals, 8 marks, and 109 SuperCoach points. So that was with Suckling in the team as well as Clinton Young as well. So now that he's freed up space, I think that he's going to be back in form.
Now, I have got a stat here. It's a bit of a... We're going to have to read this one out. Again, on the Hawthorn theme. Now, it's about Lance Franklin. So I came out with a stat last week about Bunny, and I'm backing it up again this week. Now, bear with me. Lance Franklin has not been this cheap in SuperCoach since round 14 of 2009. That is when Buddy dropped before $400,000. Now, this is in his premium era, mind you, not in his rookie years. He dropped below $400,000 after scoring 13 against the Western Bulldogs. Ironically, he scored 23 and 69 of the weeks before, so he put 3 shockers together. But then he went on an absolute scoring rampage for 3 weeks after that, scoring 177, 118 and 121. Jump forward to 4 years now, where we are round 8, 2013, and Buddy's in the same predicament. He's got Melbourne, GWS and Gold Coast, and those would be shoo-ins for, I would think, big scores. So history does have a little bit of a tendency to repeat itself. So keep that in mind with Buddy. And we did say last week that he's never gone more than 2 games held goalless, and he returned the faith last week for us. So that is one to keep in mind with Buddy if you're thinking about bringing him in this week.
And really, it's his scoring kind of reflects how Hawthorn's doing. And in 2009 was when Hawthorn missed the finals after their premiership year. So Hawthorn are travelling very well this season, 6-1. So I think definitely against these weak sides, he's going to bounce back into some very good scoring.
I think so. And that about wraps up round 8 of the SuperCoach Paige show this week. Hopefully your team does better than Damo's. And hopefully I'm not back on the losers list next week. Enjoy the round. Go Pies.
Go Tigers.
Wowee, go Blues.